Seems like Assassin's Creed Rift, which the code name for the next AC game, was never going to make the originally planned date. So a quick recap, we learned about this stealth-focused game codenamed Rift, which stars Valhalla character Basim, thanks to Jason Schreier in February. With Eurogamer reporting that it would be set before the events of Valhalla, we will likely follow Basim as he becomes a hidden one. The game would be set in Baghdad, and we later learned that Jerusalem is a possible location for the game as well. Back in February, Eurogamer also reported that the game will launch later this year or in early 2023. This turned out to be February, but recently we of course learned that Rift has been delayed to summer. May or June 2023 is the target. So we have to wait longer, which of course a bummer, but turns out that the early 2023 window was never realistic. This is Jason, now on his Triple Click podcast, talking more about the development of this game.
So here's what happened with Assassin's Creed Rift. So the scene from Assassin's Creed Valhalla is supposed to get a DLC, right? Ubisoft looks ahead at their calendar. They say, hey, we have a gap in this fiscal year. Let's delay this Basim DLC and turn it into a full game. But also, instead of making it Valhalla style, let's turn it back into like an old school Assassin's Creed game where you're like sneaking around and like doing whatever. I don't know the specifics, but sneaking around. I assume.
Okay, honestly, this all sounds pretty good.
Except you only get like X number of months to do it, and you have to do it in the same engine, like with all this RBD stuff.
That's less cool. Sounds less cool.
That's cool.
And you have to hit this fiscal year, like essentially make a new game in like half the time it would take to make a new game.
I left a link to the podcast in the video description for if you want to hear the full show, but yeah, it really seems that Ubisoft Bordeaux, who's leading the development on Rift, was tasked to turn the DLC into a full game, but never had enough time to do so if they wanted to hit the original target. And remember that this team was responsible for the Wrath of the Druids DLC, which launched on May 13th, 2021, so they probably started right after that. Less than 2 years to make a new Assassin's Creed game is a big task. Now sure, it seems to be way smaller than the recent titles, maybe we can compare it to something like a Rogue. Doesn't change the fact that it's pretty ambitious in the initial time window, and again, it's being made with the Valhalla open world RPG tools, while it should be way more like the older games. Like with the way Jason talks about this, I can see them push it even further, and the fact that they aren't doing that immediately totally makes me think that they maybe got a different fall 2023 Assassin's Creed project planned instead. Already quickly touched on this in my big 2023 preview video, which I will link to in the video description. Like, I would not be surprised that if the AC1 remake that Ubisoft hinted at in many ways is real, that we see that at the end of 2023. Would of course be cool to see that also during the Future of Assassin's Creed event, and Jason, by the way, once again notes that we will see Rift at least in September, which of course is very obvious at this point. When we know more about this next game, I will of course let you know here, so totally subscribe for everything Assassin's Creed if you haven't already, and like on the video would really help me out, and you can check out our video on why the AC1 remake could happen by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.